Bang! These knives. I'm Jared, my lovely wife Kara's at work, and today we are going to go over some different kinds of edges, some from freehand, some from WORKSHARP, some from KME, and some from the WORKSHARP freehand, or, you know, the field guided system. So I just want to say that I did do a new edge off of the WORKSHARP Ken Onion sharpener with the blade grinder attachment, and I did get a beautiful edge. We'll get into that in just a minute. I wanted to do a better edge that where I'm not trying to work around a camera and stuff like that, where I can really focus on what I'm doing. And yeah, you know, just like with any system, you're gonna get better when you practice and work with it. And even though I had been working with it for a couple weeks, you know, that's a short time, and in all reality, I got a good edge the first time I used it. It's just I had, you know, some issues, especially when you use the Ken Onion WORKSHARP system with the blade grinding attachment. I do still stand by what I said. I think that is a must-have when buying that system. Now, if you're just doing kitchen knives and stuff like that, no, it doesn't matter. But if you're going to do pocket knives, then, well, you can do pocket knives on the system if you don't use the guided part where you pull it through. You know, if you just hold it up to the belt, you can do it like that. But with the blade grinder attachment, it makes it so much easier. The belts are bigger, and it gives you a flat surface to start on. So let's get into this. So I actually have a knife here that has an Apostle P KME edge, because if you guys don't know Apostle P edges, he does his edges off of a KME. I have one of those, and then, you know, we're just gonna compare the edges, I guess. Now, I will say I am very biased in this because I'm a freehander, and, you know, I'm going to probably be biased for my own edges. That being said, I'm not going to deny a good edge when I see it. Let's get into it. So let's first start off with the WORKSHARP edge I put on. I might cover this stuff up because the camera might try to focus on it, but it did come out to a great edge. It's not a mirror edge, but I wasn't really going for a mirror edge, but it's very close, and it's very sharp. I'll tell you what, before I was even on my last belt, so I think I was to my third belt, this thing was ridiculously sharp. I mean, very sharp. I was very impressed. Now, yeah, I could have went, you can see it actually has a good amount of reflection to it. It will absolutely shave hair and all that. I mean, it's a very sharp edge. It's a good edge. It's a convex edge, though, because that's what the WORKSHARP Ken Onion system does, is convex edges. Now, some people ask, why, when a factory knife is done on a belt and the Ken Onion WORKSHARP is done on a belt, why is a factory edge not convexed? And I'm going to explain why, because we're going to show also some factory edges. Let me find a nice big one. I guess we can just look at this one. This, and I'll name the knives as we go. This was the Ontario Rat 1 that was modified by BJ Hill from Hilltop Knife and Gear. Thanks, bud. You are awesome. And I need to send him something. But let's see if we can zoom into this factory edge. And you see how flat it is. Now, the reason why factory edges can do that is, well, there's a couple reasons. One, their belts are tighter, so they don't have the play, like the play that a belt has, like on a Ken Onion WORKSHARP. They have very tight belts, and they you know, it basically just boils down to that. Now, some edges are done on other systems. I'm not saying they're not, but I'm saying with belt edges, on factory edges, the belts are tighter. They don't have as much play in them, and, you know, they're good at using their belt systems. Now, let's go back and look at this, because I know this has more of a polished finish. I should have left it a little low, because one thing about the Ken Onion is that you will get basically the same grip pattern as a factory edge if you don't go to the polishing. So you can actually make it look very similar to a factory edge. Most people probably couldn't tell the difference. Here's a knife that I did on the WorkSharp without going through all the belts. Yeah, it's kind of hard to see. Well, you can see it right there. You see the grip pattern? How it's very similar to a factory edge. We'll look back at another factory edge. See how it's very similar to a factory edge when you don't go through all the belts. Anyways, so now let's look at a KME edge. Now, a KME edge is a fixed angled guided system, which, in my opinion, does do some of the best edges out there. It's hard to beat a good KME edge. Now, when I say good, what I mean is that somebody who knows how to use it, somebody who's used it many times and really understands the stones that they're using. So this is a KME edge. I can tell that this is a KME edge. And I can see a couple little spots that could have been done better, but that's nothing against the KME system or anything like that, because it could have been done. And all I'm talking about is like this. And I tried to tune it up a little bit without doing the whole edge, but I might fix it for them. But there's just a little tiny spot back here where you see the old grip pattern from the last stone. Not a big deal. What we're looking at is how flat the edge is, how consistent the grip pattern is, you know, aside from that little spot. And it's very, very nice. And it's pretty sharp, this one. It's not as toothy as I would like, but also this could have been used a bunch of times, which would knock down some of the toothiness. Let's look at some more KME edges. Here's another KME edge that's done very nicely. Come on and focus. And this one's probably been used a little bit too. This one's still very, very sharp. Still has a lot of the bite in it. Let's look at the Apostle P edge. Now, this one I'm probably going to redo. Nothing against Apostle P. I'm saying that it's been used, so there's a couple chips in the edge. But you can still see where it was. We'll look at the chips too. So, and I'll show you one reason here in a second why I'm not a massive fan of it. Well, it depends. There's lots of variables when I say this, but there are cases, in certain variables, that a mirror edge has the potential to chip. Now, I don't know how long ago this was done or anything like that. I don't know if it's been tuned up on ceramic rods or anything like that. I could have asked the owner. But still looks like a good edge. I mean, it looks like it could have spent some more time on a couple of the stones. But, you know, like I said, I don't know if it was hit on ceramic rods or anything like that. Now, if you look right here, you see the chips up here, all through here. Lots of chips. There's about 5 chips starting right here. This from here up is all chippy. That's why I'm trying to look at just down here. But it's still well done. A great edge. Now, let's look at this complete system. So going from coarse all the way to the ceramic. I did this edge on there. Oh, let me wipe the edge first of all. Now, when you can see the grip pattern still, which I never took it to a point to where it was going to be like a mirror edge or anything. but it's a damn good edge you get off of this system right here. The WORKSHARP field sharpener. Very sharp. You can see a spot where the old edge is right there that I didn't get out, because I can get it on the next sharpening. Very, very sharp. These little systems, man, for what it's worth, whew, they do a good job. They really do. You got your entire system here to get an incredible edge. Every bit. Now, let's look at the same thing here, but just the diamonds, no ceramic. So now it's not going to be as polished as the other one that I just showed you. This one's a little more toothy, as you can see. Nice and toothy edge. You can see the grit pattern there. What we're looking for is for the consistency of the grit. We don't want the grit to be going this way and this way and this way. We want it all to go the same direction. Which, if you look, you can see the grit is all going the same direction, which looks really nice. Even when you look at this, you can still see the grit is all going the same direction. This one was just hit on the ceramic, so it's got a little bit more polish to it. Now, let's look at some freehanding. So, we've looked at some systems. I just did this code 4. This is one of Timbo's knives. Oh yeah, also, shout out to Floydian for letting me check out some knives. I got his knives up here, and I got some of Shadow Man's, and I got, oh yeah, man, Shadow Man is letting me keep this React K2. Holy cow, guys. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. Okay, Timbo. I sharpened this knife for Timbo. It had a factory edge on it. It looked like it possibly had been tuned up on some ceramic. I'm not positive on that, but that's what it looked like. But I just put a nice polished edge on it. Why did I go with polished? Well, one, I did it on the Neeves stones, which the Neeves stones keep a very nice bite to their polished edges as long as you do it right. And this is CTS XHP, which takes a great mirror edge and keeps a good bite, in my opinion, usually. Not saying you can't polish. And you see, like, there's a little bit of grit if you really catch the right lighting. But in all reality, it's a mirror edge. You can see that's a mirror edge. Okay, let's look at a couple more. Oh, yeah. And also, another thing, why I sharpen this, Timbo uses his knives. So, he's been supporting our channel since we were just a little channel. I know his knives. I know how he uses his knives, and he uses his knives. So, that thing was going to get sharpened one way or another, eventually. And I know that about Timbo. So, let's look at a toothy edge now, because this is a MANIX 2 with the brass. This one is in CPM M4. Maybe I should have been saying the steels, but this one I left a 600 grit edge on. Looks very nice. Nice and flat. And now that's another thing, is that a lot of people are under the impression that if you freehand, you must do convex edges, which is just not true. You can freehand and get a flat edge. If you do my trick that I tried to show people and I teach in some of my playlist knife sharpening videos, you can get a flat edge very easily. And I've even put an angle finder on these edges to make sure that they were perfectly flat. And like this one, 100% perfectly flat. If it'll focus, You know what, let me just go like this. And this is a good edge too. Great looking edge. We're going to look at a couple more with some teeth and stuff. And then I want to talk just a little bit about the differences and how you can get, you know, to be a great freehander to wear. Because I guarantee a lot of people would look at this edge and think it was a cami edge. You know, that because it's flat. Now, that's the biggest thing, is that when I look at an edge, right, I sometimes will look at an edge and say, like, I didn't ask if this was a cami edge. I just looked at it. But I can tell because it's so flat. Now, if I was sent one of my sharpening jobs, or possibly a lot of other people's, I could possibly look at it and say, that's a KME edge, and be wrong. Just because it's so flat, or just because the grip pattern is so removed the right way. And what I mean is that, like, if you look at this, look at how like the mirror just shines through, right? But if you really look at it in certain lightnings, you might see a little grip pattern shining through. But the point is that they went through the stones correctly. Like, because that's some of the biggest problems, is people will rush through stones. Then they'll have an edge that has some mirror and some grit, like kind of like the heel of this one, where you can see that little spot right there. Now, it's not a big deal whatsoever. I'm just saying, like, that just shows, like, that right there could have been hit with the previous stone a little bit more before it got to a polish. Kind of like this, and I'm not saying this was done by a cami, because I don't know. It could have been just hit by a ceramic rod or something. But if you really look, you can see the old grit pattern, and then how it's polished all the way through here. And that that can be very common with fixed angled systems if you don't go through the progression the right way. This is the chaparral, and then here's the native, and if you look, it kind of has the same thing going on. But like I said, I'm not positive this was done by a KME or not, but it's nice and flat, so it makes me think that. But it could have had just a factory edge and then was hit on like a ceramic plate or something, you know, to hone it. But you can see the grip pattern shining through the polished edge. And that can happen, like I said, if this can also happen just from honing your edge on, you know, some type of polishing stone, if, you know, after a while, or if you keep hitting it. But it's very common on KMEs if you don't go through the progression with every stone correctly, and if you rush to the next one. And really with any system, in reality, I mean, even if I go through the system, or if I go through my stones and I jump to a high stone without hitting a medium stone, either I gotta spend a very long time on that high stone, or I need to use a medium stone, because it's going to show. So that's why you want to go through your progressions correctly, and you want to you know, obviously hold your angle, unless if you're wanting a convex edge, then you can have some movement in your angles. But yeah, if you want it nice and flat, and you want the consistent pattern of that grit, which is what you should be looking for, then you want to do your progressions correctly. And also make sure that your movements go in all the same direction. Like, you don't want, like, it doesn't matter if you go back and forth a little bit, as long as you finish off in the same direction. Like, if I'm gonna go like this with a knife on a stone, I'm gonna finish off like that to get all my grit the same direction. But getting a beautiful flat edge is very possible when freehanding. It just takes lots of practice, and Now a KME, in my opinion, is one of the best type of edges you could get. There's other wicked sharp. There's a lot of fixed angle sharpening systems. So fixed angle sharpening systems are probably the easiest and best way to put an edge. Now, if you're just looking for a sharp edge, then that WORKSHARP with the blade grinding attachment is the easiest. 100%. I mean, that is fast, easy, and yeah, it's amazing. But if you are doing like expensive pocket knives and you don't want a convex edge and you want a perfect V grind, then yes, obviously a KME, or whatever type of fixed angled system is going to suit you the best if you're not willing to put in the work. But if you're willing to put in the work, you can absolutely get beautiful flat edges that have a beautiful grip pattern, that are redonkulously sharp, and can stand up right next to any KME. And I mean, the proof is in the pudding. I mean, let's look at this one. This one's been used too. But I mean, you can see how flat that edge is. It's very, very flat. You can see how flat this edge is. You can see the mirror. You can see both of them went through the stones correctly. Now, KME systems are very expensive. This video is getting long. I'm sorry, guys. So KME systems are very expensive. The WORKSHARP sharpener with the blade grinding attachment, that's very expensive. Little things like this, though, are not. I mean, I got a beautiful edge in 15 minutes. Maybe 20 minutes. Now, I could have spent longer and got probably pretty close to a mirror edge. Not quite a perfectly mirror, but a cloudy finish. You know, that's going to be preference and everything else. So, but you can get 3 stones of, like, say, diamond stones or a tri-stone or whatever type of stones and get a great edge. Now, some of these edges, yes, I used Neeves stones, which are very expensive, so I can't really compare those, but I can get the same edge on other systems. So it's not like it's just that system that'll do that. Actually, like some of these systems I didn't even use on that, like this one, but these aren't mirror either. I just use diamond stones on a lot of my knives are just on diamond plate. This one, I think I did, man, I don't even remember. I think it was diamond plates, and then I went to, I'm not even going to say, I don't remember. I think it was an Arkansas stone, but it's hard to say. Anyways, let me know what you guys sharpen with, if you sharpen, if you don't. Let me know what your guys' favorite systems are. I'm telling you what, this, let me get this thing out. That blade grinding attachment does do a good edge. And let's look at that let's look at this, the difference between the convex, and you know what? I got a free-handed convex edge here too from Mike Emler we will look at. Now you see how it's not flat. Let's look at a perfectly flat edge. So KME next to it. Now can you see the difference? Can you see how one is kind of rounded and then one is perfectly flat? Let's look at it. I don't know if you can tell. Sometimes a good way to tell is just look at the tip. You can see whether it's straight or whether it's curved a little bit, but I don't know if you'll be able to tell on this. It's not wanting to focus, but you can tell if you really look. You can see that it's not flat. You can see that the edge is curved to the point. And then look at this one. You can see how that's just nice and flat. But here, let's look at a free-handed convex edge, which I do sometimes myself. But this one's done by Mike Emler, which he's a professional freehand knife sharpener that does convex edges. Beautiful edge. And you can really see, you know, he went through his grit pattern, or his grit levels and his stones properly. But there's so many different kinds of edges out there. Some people prefer convex edges. Some people prefer micro bevels. Some people prefer cami edges. Some people prefer fixed angle systems. Some people prefer just an edge. You know, like they don't need no mirror edge. They just need a good edge, which is like what's on here, right? Which, not saying it's I mean, this is a beautiful edge, but what I mean is this is like a 600 grit edge or something. I think it's maybe 1200 grit, but it's just 3 diamond plates, and it's a beautiful, beautiful edge. Ridiculously sharp, and yeah. But sometimes when you go up really high in grit, your edge can get fragile. You know, when you polish it too much and it's too high of a polish, it can get brittle. And then, in my opinion, like too low of grit, now you're gonna have to hone more, but it won't chip as easy. So like a very high polished edge, kind of like what happened to this, can have problems with chipping. Now a low grit might not have as big of an issue as chipping. I mean, any knife can chip if you do certain things with it. But where it might not be as bad with chipping, but you might have to hone it more, just because like what happens in my cases is the teeth will like go like this. I mean, you just have to hone it back to true. But I can do that like 10 times before I have to put an edge on, rather than it literally chipping away a piece. Like if this is an edge and like a piece chips out, now you can't hone that back. If the teeth just go like this, you can hone that back. If that makes any sense to you guys. I hope it does. I love you guys. Let me know down in the comments what you prefer and what kind of systems you like. I do have some more sharpening content coming up. I am going to do a full sharpening on the Neeves stones. I also will probably do a water stone soon, because the Neeves are splash and goes. We'll see how it goes. I have a lot of reviews coming up. I'm probably going to have a few more top 10s coming out. But love you guys. Peace.